My name is Kira, and I always believed the worst pain came from strangers. But I learned the truth the day my parents ghosted my graduation, then demanded $2,100 like I owed them my soul. I thought that was the betrayal. I didn't know the real nightmare was still waiting for me. My name is Kira, and I swear I could feel my heartbeat echo in the stadium as I kept looking for 2 empty seats that were supposed to hold the only people who ever told me they raised me right. I whispered, "They're coming, they have to be coming." But the truth kept pulling at me like a cold wind. Chloe leaned over and whispered, "Kira, they're not here. They're just late," I said. "Maybe traffic. Or car trouble." My voice cracked even though I tried to fake a smile. "Kira," she whispered again, softer this time, "you know your mom. If she was coming, she would have texted." "I know," I mumbled, staring at the stage instead of the crowd. I just thought, maybe this time. The ceremony dragged on, my name echoed through the speakers, people cheered, but all I heard was silence. I forced a smile for the photos, even though my chest felt tight. Afterward, as everyone hugged their families, I stood alone near a column, still holding my cap. Mason, the quiet guy from my literature class, walked by. He paused. "Hey. Congrats." "Thanks," I said, trying to sound normal. He hesitated. "Are you waiting for someone?" I swallowed. "Yeah. My parents. But they probably forgot." He nodded slowly, like he understood something I wasn't saying. "Well, you deserved better." "Just saying." Then he walked off before I could answer. Chloe rushed toward me with 2 drinks. "Here. One for shock. One for rage." I laughed weakly. "Is it that bad?" "You're shaking," she said. "Call your mom. She owes you something today." I took a deep breath and dialed. My mom answered with her usual flat tone. "What now?" "Mom, today was my graduation." There was a silence, then, "Oh. Was that today?" "Yes," I whispered. "You said you'd come." "Well, your father had errands. And I wasn't going to sit around all day. You know how boring those things are." "It wasn't boring for me," I said. "It was important." "Oh, don't start with the dramatics. You got the degree, right?" "Good. Then stop whining." My throat burned. "I just wanted you there." "Well, life doesn't revolve around you," she snapped. "Anyway, I have to cook. Bye." She hung up. I stared at my phone like it had betrayed me too. Chloe touched my arm. "I'm so sorry." I forced a nod and whispered, "It's fine." But it wasn't. Later that night, after everyone's laughter faded and dorm rooms went dim, I sat on my bed with my cap still on. I wrapped my arms around my knees and let the tears fall because no one was there to stop me. I whispered to the darkness, "Why am I never enough for them?" A soft knock came from my open door. Mason stood there awkwardly. "Hey, sorry." "Ah. Chloe told me you weren't okay. I can leave if you want." "No," I said, wiping my face fast. "I'm fine." "Really?" He looked at the cap in my hands. "You should be celebrating." "With who?" I asked. "Everyone I care about has someone. Except me." He sat on the edge of my desk chair, keeping distance. "Sometimes the people who should show up won't. That's on them. Not you." His words hit deeper than he realized. "Thanks," I whispered. He nodded and left quietly, and for a moment, I didn't feel completely invisible. When the clock hit midnight, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "We need $2,100. Send it tomorrow." Another message followed from my dad. "You owe us. Don't make this difficult." No apology. No good job. Just a demand like I was their personal ATM. My stomach dropped. "Of course," I whispered bitterly. "Of course that's what today becomes." I stared at the messages until they blurred. That was the moment I realized the truth I'd been avoiding for years. My parents didn't forget me. They simply didn't choose me. Not then. Not ever. I stared at the messages for hours, telling myself, don't respond. Don't let them drag you in again. But guilt curled around my ribs like a chain tightening with every breath. By morning, I finally typed, "I can't send you $2,100. I don't have that kind of money. My dad replied within seconds. Ungrateful. After everything we did for you. I whispered to myself, everything you did. My voice cracked as I read it again. Another message came from my mom. You owe us for existing, Kira. Stop pretending you're some victim. My hands shook. I'm not pretending, I whispered. I'm tired. Chloe called instantly when she saw my texts. Tell me you didn't send them anything. No, I said. But maybe I should. Maybe they really need. Stop, she cut in. You don't owe them a cent. They raised me, I muttered weakly. They fed you, barely. They ignored you. They forgot your graduation. Her voice softened. Kira, they hurt you more than they helped you. I felt myself shrinking. I just don't want them to hate me. They already treat you like they do, she said. Listen to the way they talk to you. Would you ever talk to your kid like that? My throat tightened. No. Exactly, she said. So why defend them? I didn't answer. I couldn't. When we hung up, another text appeared from my dad. If you don't send it by tonight, don't expect our support ever again. I laughed bitterly. What support? A flashback hit me hard, my 13th birthday, when my parents forgot until evening and my mom tossed me a grocery store cupcake saying, you don't need a party. Don't be dramatic. Another memory followed, my dad promising to pick me up from school, then never showing, leaving me sitting on the curb until a teacher drove me home. I rubbed my chest, breathing fast. Why do they still control me? I stepped outside my apartment to get air, pacing the sidewalk. My vision blurred. My breath stumbled. Not again, I whispered, gripping the railing. Kira, a voice said gently. I turned and saw Mason at the bottom of the stairs. Are you okay? No, I breathed. I mean, yes. I'm fine. But my voice cracked, betraying me. He stepped closer but kept his distance. You're shaking. I'm just stressed, I said. My parents, they want money. They're mad. I don't know what to do. Sit, he said softly, nodding toward the steps. I sank down. He sat one stair lower, so I wouldn't feel crowded. Breathe with me, he said quietly. In and out. I followed him, my breath slowly untangling. Sorry, I whispered. You shouldn't have to deal with. Don't apologize, he said. You're allowed to feel things. I covered my face. I feel stupid. You're not stupid, he said. You're scared. That's different. I let out a shaky laugh. Why do you sound like you've done this before? I grew up around yelling, he said simply. I know that guilt hits harder than fists sometimes. His honesty softened something in me. I don't know why they keep doing this. Because you let them, he said, not unkindly. You're allowed to stop. I don't know how. Start with one boundary, he said. One no. One line. I nodded, even though fear still twisted inside me. Thanks, really. Anytime, he said, and he meant it. After he left, I went back inside and texted Chloe. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should cut them off. Her reply came fast. Yes. Finally. Block them. Breathe. Live. I'm scared, I typed. Growth is scary, she wrote. But so is staying hurt. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. My mom this time. If you don't send the money by tonight, we will handle this in a legal way. Don't test me, Kira. My stomach dropped. Legal? I stared at the threat, my hands trembling. They weren't just angry now. They were escalating. And for the first time in my life, I wondered what my parents were truly capable of. 2 days passed, and I barely slept. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach twisted, terrified another threat was coming. When the doorbell rang that morning, I jolted upright like someone had poured ice water down my spine. I whispered, who is that? My voice was still hoarse from crying. The bell rang again. Louder this time. I stumbled toward the door, half expecting my parents to be standing there themselves. When I opened it, 2 police officers filled the doorway. Are you Kira Bennett? The taller one asked. Yes, I whispered. What's wrong? The second officer stepped forward. We received a report that you're withholding money owed to your parents. My knees buckled. What? No, that's not. Are you serious? The tall officer nodded. We're required to check on these claims. I grabbed the doorframe to steady myself. They actually did this, I whispered under my breath. Then louder, I don't owe them anything. They're lying. They're trying to scare me. Can we come in for a moment? The second officer asked gently. Yeah, okay, I said, moving aside. They stepped inside, and I felt myself shrinking. Look, they asked for $2,100. I told them I didn't have it. They threatened me. Then they said they'd handle it legally. I guess this is what they meant. The tall officer nodded slowly. Do you have the messages? Yes. I handed him my phone with shaking hands. Every threat. Every demand. They read everything in silence. Finally, the second officer sighed. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. You didn't break any laws. They can't force you to give them money. So, I'm not in trouble? I whispered. Not at all, he said. We'll report the situation as resolved. You're the victim here, not them. Victim. The word stung even though it was true. The tall officer handed my phone back. If they contact the police again about this, we'll note that they filed a false claim. You're safe. Safe. I didn't feel safe. I felt small. Exposed. Humiliated. Thank you, I whispered, voice cracking. They gave sympathetic nods and left. The second the door closed, I slid down to the floor and burst into heavy, shaking sobs. Ugly crying. Loud, desperate, painful cries from a place I didn't even know existed in me. That was my family, I whispered to the empty room. My own parents called the police on me. My breath turned shallow. My hands shook uncontrollably. A moment later, footsteps rushed up my stairs. Kira? Mason's voice called out. I saw the police leave. Are you okay? No, I cried. I'm really not. He stepped inside the open door, eyes softening when he saw me curled up on the floor. Hey, look at me. I can't, I sobbed. I feel disgusting. You're not disgusting, he said, kneeling a short distance away. You're hurt. They called the police on me, I whispered. They actually reported me. Like I'm some criminal. He exhaled slowly. That's not love, Kira. That's control. I shook my head violently. I must have done something wrong. Why else would they? No, he said firmly. You didn't do anything wrong. They're punishing you for saying no. My breath hitched again. Why do they hate me so much? They don't hate you, he said softly. They need power. And you're finally taking some back. I wiped my face with trembling hands. It hurts. I know, he whispered. But you're not alone. We sat there for a long moment until my breathing finally slowed. When he left, promising to check on me later, I curled up on the couch, exhausted. Not even 20 minutes passed before Chloe let herself in with a bag of food. I brought carbs, she announced. Also, I heard police. Explain now. They called the police on me, I whispered. She froze. Your parents did that? Yes. Her face twisted in anger. Then that's it. You're done. You're going no contact. I don't know if I can, I said. They're still my parents. They're your parents, she said, but they're not being parents. I looked down at my shaking hands. What if cutting them off makes things worse? What if keeping them in your life keeps breaking you? She asked softly. Her words settled into me like truth I'd avoided for years. That night, with tears smudging my screen, I typed the message. I'm done being treated like this. I won't send money. I won't be intimidated. Don't contact me again. My mom responded instantly. Wow. So you abandon family? You've always been selfish. I blocked the number with shaking fingers. When the silence settled, I whispered, who am I without their control? I didn't know. But for the first time, I wanted to find out. Weeks went by, and every morning felt less like survival and more like breathing. I sat in my therapist's office one afternoon, twisting a tissue in my hands, and whispered, I feel guilty for feeling better. My therapist tilted her head. Why guilty? Because I'm healing without them, I said. Like I'm betraying them. You're healing because you chose yourself, she replied. That isn't betrayal. I nodded, though my chest tightened. I wasn't used to choosing me. When I left the building, Mason was leaning against his car, waiting like he had nowhere else he'd rather be. How'd it go? He asked. Good, I said. We talked about guilt. He opened the passenger door. Want to talk about it with me? I slid in. I'm trying not to feel like the bad guy. You're not, he said. Your parents dug their own hole. I sighed. People in my hometown are starting to hear what they did. My aunt called yesterday. What'd she say? Is it true your parents called the police on you for money? I mimicked. I said yes. She went silent for like 10 seconds. What happened after? She whispered, I'm so sorry, honey. They're telling everyone you're unstable. Mason swore under his breath. Of course they are. But then, I continued, my younger cousin Sarah called me. She said she confronted them. He raised his eyebrows. Sarah? The quiet one? Yeah. She told Mom, you humiliated Kira. Stop lying about her. Mom yelled. Sarah didn't back down. Mason smiled. Karma's starting. Apparently neighbors are talking too, I said. They found out the police showed up because the officers asked around for confirmation of my address. Now everyone knows. And how do your parents feel about that? I shrugged. They haven't contacted me. But Aunt Melissa said Mom's angry people are taking my side. Mason started the car. That's not your problem anymore. Hearing those words made something loosen inside me. I hope so. You're rebuilding, he said. You're doing great. I smiled softly. I got a job interview scheduled next week. He grinned. See? The world's already getting brighter. Later that evening, Chloe came over with takeout. Try the noodles, she said. They're magic. I haven't eaten much today, I admitted. Well, you're eating now, she said. Open your mouth before I feed you like a toddler. I laughed, grabbing the fork. Okay. She watched me closely. You're laughing again. Because of you, I said. Because of you, she said back. You're healing. I felt tears sting my eyes, but this time they didn't come from pain. That night, when the apartment grew quiet, Mason texted. If you ever want company, I'm around. I hesitated, then typed, come over. Within minutes, he knocked lightly. I opened the door and whispered, I don't know why I asked. He smiled. Because I make you feel safe. I swallowed. Yeah. You do. We sat on the couch, the soft glow of the lamp warming the room. Can I ask something? He said. Yeah. When you blocked your parents, what did you feel? Like I cut the last string holding me together, I whispered. But now, I'm starting to feel lighter. He nodded. You look lighter. Do you ever think, I said softly, that maybe healing means losing people who were never meant to stay? All the time, he said. And it hurts. But it's honest. I leaned my head on his shoulder without thinking. Thank you for staying. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Months passed quietly, steadily. I kept going to therapy. I got the job. I learned to cook decent meals. I slept through the night without waking in panic. One afternoon, I sat at my desk and whispered, I think I'm finally living. Then, one evening, I wrote a letter addressed to my parents. I forgive you, I wrote slowly. But not for your sake. For mine. I'm not sending this. I just needed to let it out. When I finished, I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer I rarely opened. The next morning, I drove to a lookout spot above the city. The wind brushed my hair as the sun rose. I whispered, I'm free. I didn't just escape you. I found myself. For the first time in my life, those words felt true. And I believed them.